Welcome to MountBlue Prep. MountBlue Prep is a proprietary track of MountBlue, so which helps you in improving your problem-solving skills, wherein it will be easy for you to get into MountBlue. So either you can just complete 2600 points in HackerRank and get into MountBlue. So these sessions will help you in this process to improve your problem-solving skills and get through the process. So in today's session, I'm going to take up the concept of objects in JavaScript. Let me share my screen. Good. Yeah, guys, once again, if you have any queries, you can just text me in the chat. I hope everyone can hear me. So just text me in the chat any queries that you are having. So I will just address your queries at the end of session. Last 10 minutes we'll have for that. Good. So in today's session, we'll be discussing about objects. In JavaScript. So what do you mean by an object actually? So there are different types. Like when we talk about objects in JavaScript, there are two types of data types. One is primitive types and next one is object type. Everything in JavaScript is in the form of what? Object. But if you want to create our own types, our own objects based on a predefined structure, for that we use object. So how do we create an object in JavaScript is this way. Like you can use the keyword var. Then the object, whatever is the object name you want, you can just give is the object name. Then is equals to, then within the curly braces you are going to specify. So an object is collection of what here? Properties, various properties. So what is the property here? The property has two things. That is key, and followed by that you have a value. So the combination of key and value is called as a property. So when we call an object is collection of what? Various properties here. So how do we create that properties here within the object? Yeah, you're going to give here key 1. The key name is unique, and value. The value can be anything. Value 1, whatever you're giving. Then separate by comma, you're giving the second key. Key 2, then value 2. So like that you can specify any number of properties followed by the key and value. So this is how you can just create. Let's look at an example here. Like suppose I want to create an object here, student. It does not exist. So we are creating an object here, student. So what is the key here? Key I want to give is what? ID number or roll number, whatever it is. ID number is 1001. And name of the student is what here? Raj. Okay. So this is a simple example that shows you how you are just creating an object. Now in this case, you can see a student is created. Yeah, we have to comment this. You'll get error here, I think. Good. So we are getting here student is the object where it is having what? Key properties here, ID number, its value, name and value. So you want to refer to the individual members. Hope guys you are seeing. Are you able to get me? Just text me in the chat. Can you hear me? Good. So each property can refer it by using its key value. So here in this case you can see your ID number. So this will give you what here? ID number. Time. So this will give you the output as what here 1001, isn't it? So in the same way, if you want to refer to the next property, you can give student dot what name. So this would display what Raj, isn't it? So that is how you can just use this. You can see 1001 and Raj. We got the output there. Yeah, this is a simple way that you can refer to each property. So you can use the square bracket as well. You can use the dot notation to refer to each property, or you can use the square bracket notation. ID number, yeah. When we are using square bracket notation, we are using the single quotes. The property key name should be given in the single quotes. So either of the ways you can use to refer to the each property by using its key. So it will give you the value. Yes, we can create properties. We can update the properties also. Suppose if at all you want to update, you can just give a student dot. Whenever you have created object, it was that one. So ID number. Later on you want to change it, isn't it? Now in this case, it will be updated. You can just check it out. Student is what here? Yeah, you can see it is now changed to what 1002. Now we can just delete the properties also. You can just use delete and name of the property. So it will just delete this property. Good. So this is one way, simple way you can just create an object. Now the values here, when we are referring to here value, the values here in this case can be primitive types. So what we can have here value as what it can be number, isn't it? It can be string, it can be boolean, it can be null or undefined also. Apart from this, we can have what derived types. So you can have value as what here, you can have an array, or you can even have what you call function or another object as well as a value. So at the place of value, you can have any of these things. Let's see one example with that one as well. Good. Now here you are creating a student object here with these things. Now suppose if at all I want to have let's take here, you have taken number, isn't it? And this is string, isn't it? Now suppose I want to have languages known. So what we will do here, okay, there's an array, isn't it? English, Hindi, French. So in this case, value is what here? It's an array, isn't it? You can even have an array as a value for any given key. Then suppose I want to have an object, like take the example of address. So when we say address, it is what I want to have another object as a value for that particular key address. So what we can have here, house number is a key, and there's a 111 house number or door number. Then you can have here street as ABC. Fine. Then city, you can directly have, it's not compulsory, city New Delhi, isn't it? Now in this case, you can see here this address is having what here, object, isn't it? So it is having what are the properties that are there here in this case. It is having Chenno, then next property is street, and next one is what, city. So that way you can just have the object as a value for a given key. You can see in this case is an array, then this one is what, object. So that way you can have object as a value. Yeah, let's take next concept, how can we have function. Suppose I want to have display info. Now display info is the name of the property with the key display info. In that I want to create a function. So how do you create a function is using the keyword function. Then if you want, you can have parameters. In this case I don't want to have any parameters, isn't it? The property name here is what, or key name is what here, display info. Then function you are giving here. Then you are going to code the function here. Suppose whatever you want, you can just give a console.log this dot id number, and I want to have this dot name. This is the current, it will give reference to the current object. So that way you can just have it. Now how you are going to call that function within the object name is student dot the display info. In this case it's a property, but that property is what property here? It's having a function, isn't it? So as the value. So this way you can have a function as a value for that. And I can see here, whenever we are calling this function, you are getting the, just have displayed the ID number and name. These are the two things that are displayed using this one. I hope is it clear, anyone? Any doubt, you can just query this one. This is a simple way you can just create an object wherein I have just indicated how you can create an object. Okay, simple way by using different properties where each property has a key and value. So in JavaScript, object, okay, has these things. Now suppose how many you want to get the properties and values. Suppose sometimes we dynamically get an object from some other source. So suppose I want to get external source or from a file. Okay, we don't know what is the structure sometimes, or we want to process them. So for that we can use a for loop. For you can just take var, yeah, property in student. Okay, just check that one, console.log prop. So what we are getting, look here guys, everyone, like we are getting what here, for loop I have used here to iterate through what object, isn't it, wherein you are getting properties. Sometimes we dynamically we get an object from some other external source and we want to process that. In that case what we'll be doing here, so how we can know the names of each key in the properties. So you can just use here what, var prop in student, and that way you can just display that values also. So I can see a prop, then followed by this, you can concatenate, and this is a value also. How can we get the value? The object name is student here, then within the bracket. So we can use two notations guys, like one is you can use dot notation or you can use the square bracket notation to get the values for each property, isn't it? So you can just get that one. Get, so you can see you're getting id this one and this one, and this is an array, isn't it? Student of property, then address is nothing but an object again, isn't it? Saying that it's an object, and display info is a function. So you can use this way and process this one. Yeah, so this is one way of creating an object. So there is another way also, we can just create an empty object like this. So how, there is a second way, second method of creating an object is using new. So you can just give your object name, whatever object you want, like stud I'm giving is equals to new what object. Now in this case, we are not giving any properties here. So later on we are going to add the properties here, isn't it? So you can just see that one. So how you're giving stud dot, isn't it? Now just you can just console and check it out, console.log of stud. Isn't it? You are getting an empty object here. I'll just comment this as well. Let's work on this one. Now in this case, std is it is having what? Empty object without any properties. Now later on, just we can add the properties. So how we could add that one? Std dot. Suppose I want to add roll number. Okay, so roll number is equals to, this will be the value here. Good. Now we do not have a property here. When we do not have any key, specified key, then it will go as a new property in that one. In this case, you can see here console.log std. Just check that object. So if you do not have that, roll number was not there in this one, isn't it? Initially, when you are seeing here, roll number was not there. So we have added that one. So std dot roll number will add that one. If it was already there, it will update. If it is not there, it will just create that property and set its value as 1001. So this is another way in which you can create an empty object. So there is another way also, the third method of creating an object. Suppose you want to create an object, suppose k is equals to, from another object, that is you can use object dot create. Object dot create of what? There is an object here, another object at top std, isn't it? So creating an object from another object. So object dot create function is there in that one. So that will just create the object. I can see a console.log k. It will be an empty object. Yeah, k is an empty object. Yeah, creating an object from another object. Okay. This is how it works, guys. Just 1 minute. Yeah, guys, can you just see my screen, everyone? Just text me in the chat. Any queries in this? Hello? Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys, everyone. Yeah, fine. So you are unable to see. Now, is it okay? Can you hear me? Good. Yes, okay, fine. So there was so any queries in this one, you can just ask. Okay, fine. Now, let's see how we can have do some problem solving in this one. Good. Yeah, let's see here. Suppose if we have an object here where products is equals to product 1 is there and its cost we are taking. Let us assume it is 400, and product 2 is there, whatever it is, its cost 200. Then product 3 is there, its cost is 190. Now suppose if I want to get all the what you call only keys of this one, so you can just see here console.log the object dot keys of the given object. So just we want to get the keys of that one. So how can we get that one is this way. So the predefined object called as object O capital dot keys of the given user defined object. So that will give you the keys. Yeah, let me refresh this. Can you see my screen, everyone? Yeah, you can see here if you want to only get the keys from a particular object. So what you are going to do, a console.log object dot keys of product. So it will give you an array of what? Only the key, individual key in every, isn't it? Property, every property. Good. Suppose you want to get the values. So how do you get the values here? Also, you can just get it. Only values you want to get. So object dot values of products. There's an object here. Okay, 400, 200, and 190. You can see here. Now let's see. Suppose I want to find the sum of all these values for each product. So how will you do that one? Let's do it simple way. First of all, where, isn't it? Where first of all, what we'll do, property in products. So what do you get here? Let's take one variable here, where, to find the total and assign the value 0. So how would you do that one? Total, yeah, plus is equals to, so from the product. So products of what? Products of what we'll be giving here? Prop, isn't it? You can see here we are getting 790. Yeah, in some cases you are required to find the sum of these things. So you can get it in simple way. So how you are getting it, you can just simply see this one, isn't it? Yeah, all of you just pay attention here. In this case, yeah, what we are doing here, we are finding what? Sum of all the keys, isn't it? By taking the property, isn't it? Each property we are taking and we are finding the sum. Now, how can we use reduce? Can we use reduce function here on this one? Yes, we are writing this a simple way. In JavaScript, there is a reduce function. So how can we do that one? Just, can anyone text me in the chat? How can we use reduce on this one? Can we use reduce on this one? Why? Because it's an object. Yes. So we are getting here the values, isn't it? Values means this is an array. This concept will give us an array, isn't it? Let's try this one. The same thing, isn't it? So products will give us an array. So you can just see here where cost is an array. Is that clear? Now you want to reduce. So how? What is the purpose of reduce here? Is to, it will reduce it to a single value. You want to find the sum of that one. So how can we get that one? So cost dot what? Reduce, isn't it? So total. Let's give here variable name as total. Then each value, that is, then give it to a callback function. Then total plus value. Yes, we are giving initial value of total as 0. So how does that would work here is reduce of this one. Cost is nothing but an array, isn't it? Dot reduce. So callback function is, we are sending the sum or total then value, and total plus value will give us that list of values. As you can display here result. Or sum of all these values. So you can just declare it as sum. Then just you can console here as what? Console dot log of what? Sum. This would just display, isn't it? The 790, isn't it? Now this one we are doing it using for loop. Yeah, any programming language that you are using for loop to iterate that to that one, and you can find the sum. That is one way. And the second way is if you want to use the reduce function. Yeah, yeah. Once you are getting the cost in the form of what values, all the values. So this would give us what here 400, 290 in the form of an array. You can just console.log, check it out. Cost. It's an array, isn't it? So on that we can apply the function reduce. Good. Or one by one individually we can find out. This is the way that we can find it out. No, I want to just find out the maximum item that was purchased, the cost of the maximum item that was purchased. How can we get that one? In this case, we are having the products. So the cost of the item which was of highest cost among these ones. So it should display as what product one should be our output. Why? Because it's the one with the highest price. So you can use the reduce function also. I'll just go it the traditional way with using for loop. Yeah, how can we get that one? I want to display the name of the product that is having the highest cost. So how can we get that? Yeah, everyone. Just can you get me? Everyone? I'll just refresh my screen. So can you get that? Display the product with the highest cost. So how can we get that one? Yes, everyone just give a try. How can we get that one? Products is there. So the one with the highest cost, isn't it? One way you can do is you can sort it. Okay, suppose if you are having randomly items was cost is 2000. In this case, it should display it as 2000. One thing we can do is we can sort these things and do that one. Isn't it? Yeah, good. So, yeah, let's go for that one. Fine. Let's take the property with the highest, isn't it? Products of what prop? It's an object. Empty. Just give here. Yeah, let me stop my share. Just a minute.